Hello. Hello. Hello, Liz. Oh, I think you've touched your mic again because it's muted at my end.
I tell you, I'm not working on all cylinders today. I'm not firing on all cylinders, as they say today. So, how are you doing?
I'm doing very well, and it's really nice to see you. Just
You too.
don't touch the microphone,
Don't
whatever you
touch
do.
anything. Oh, yesterday with Dave, I just flat out just hit the wrong button. I'm using too much software. That's my problem. Is that
Mm,
I am actually with the software I use for my work. It's like specialized, so every software is completely set up differently.
mm.
It's like, so you get used to something. If some of it looks the same, like the icons and everything, you have to, like, your brain just can't keep up with it. It's crazy.
All
So,
right.
but
So, what is your role? What is your job title then?
I am director of quality assurance and regulatory affairs,
Mm,
so in manufacture of medical devices.
mm.
So
And do you enjoy it?
I'm good at it. I mean, it's basically gatekeeping, honestly. So, I work with, and I did pharmaceuticals for years.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm making sure that, like, when you look at a manufacturing facility, you have all these different departments and everything has to work together. It has to kind of mesh together. So you're like I don't know, it's kind of like an orchestra conductor. Like, you're making sure that all of the systems work together and streamline, and you have all the procedures and policies, because when FDA shows up, you don't want them locking your door. Basically, you have to comply with all the regulations with whatever you're doing, whatever you're making. So
Right.
it's it's a high level type of position. I'm responsible for a lot. So, it can be stressful at times, but since I went carnivore, I don't have a lot of stress anymore, which is amazing.
Mm.
Because before I would get bent out of shape over things I couldn't control, because we would have, I don't know, we get an influx of, like, idiots or something that, I mean, the workforce in the United States, I don't know what's going on in your neck of the woods, but it's really hard finding people who give a crap, and when you have
Mm.
something that can hurt people and you can harm the public if you don't pay attention to your job, it's kind of rough, because they can cause a lot of damage in a short amount of time. So, you know,
Mm.
I used to get really stressed out over stuff like, I can't change, what the pool of people we have to choose from. I can't change a lot of the things that go on. I can just, try to develop continuous improvement things to, like, fix stuff. But I would get so upset. And one of my coworkers, it was really funny. They were sitting there talking to me and something happened. And I said, well, you know, it's like a tire fire. You just gotta, sit back and watch it burn, because you can't put it out. He was like, and they turned around and looked at me and said, who are you and what have you done with Liz? And I was like, hey, I can't do anything about it. Why would I get all stressed out? So I don't do that anymore, which is a good thing. But,
Mm. It is a good
mm,
thing. Yeah. I mean, there's been a big swathe of people that were DEI hires, coming
yeah.
unstuck. The most recent one I saw was she was given she was captain of a ship, basically, that run into or run aground and sunk,
Mm-hmm.
basically, because she
Mm.
forgot to take it off autopilot.
Oh, God.
And um, everybody survived. And at the hearing, it firstly said that she wasn't platform
Mm-hmm.
approved, which meant she actually wasn't qualified.
Uh-huh.
Secondly, in the transcript, uh, on I suppose the bridge, I think they call
Mm-hmm.
it the bridge on a ship. Anyway, so
Yeah.
she asked for a particular person to come up, which is just happened to be, a middle-aged white man. And she actually
Mm-hmm.
said to him, well, I want you to come up here because you actually know what you're doing, or something like that. Very blunt, you know how to
Mm-hmm.
do this. And at the tribunal, they were all trying to blame him,
I
but
don't
she was,
doubt it. I don't
yeah,
doubt it.
but
Yeah.
she was
Oh,
the
oh,
captain.
yeah. That was a funny thing. One time, I give tests, so
Mm,
I require that the for different jobs, different things or whatever, but I require that they take tests or whatever. And so I gave one person that was incoming, and this is a professional person, a test, and they didn't know what they were doing. They didn't understand. They had claimed that they had so much experience in a particular job, and so I tested them, and they claimed to HR, this was a different company, that it was racist to give them a test. And I'm like, no. And they're like, well, you're discriminating against me because whatever ethnicity, I can't remember. But it's like, I'm like, no, I'm discriminating. Yes, I discriminate. I don't want an idiot working in this position. So It's like, you don't know what you're doing. You couldn't answer any of the questions. If you could answer the questions, you wouldn't be discriminated against. So it is, you are discriminating in a way. It's like you want someone who knows how to do the job, right? So I've been down that gambit before,
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. It's about merit. I mean, this pilot, she was white, but it was still a DEI because for other reasons.
She's a woman or whatever. Yeah. So that's the thing. It's like your identity and who you are, what you look like doesn't matter when you have the power to hurt the public. You have to know what you're doing. I don't care what people look like,
Yeah. I mean, I've never looked at a basketball team and said, oh, we need more white people in there. That doesn't look fair. It's all about merit. And, I'm a soccer fan and player. And I want the best players. I don't care that at Liverpool the right winger is Egyptian. I don't care if the left winger is from Holland. It doesn't matter to me.
And most people don't. Most people do not. Like historically, people have been normal, and we just look at whoever does the best job, and we appreciate whoever they do. And then I remember back, years ago, no one thought of that. Like everybody, it's like nobody ever thought of things like that until someone was trying to force it, makes things a lot worse.
Yeah. And I mean, people like Martin Luther King would be turning in their grave because all he ever wanted was to be judged on the content of your character, not anything else.
That was his famous quote. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's do some name checks, shall we? So we've got Mediterranean D.
D's in the house.
Need D3K2. Yeah. Ribeye Rob. Hello, Stephen and Liz. Hello, Ribeye Rob. Haven't seen you for a while. Bev. Oh, Bev, good morning from Ohio. I did actually reply to you, Bev, yesterday. Bev asked a question on Dave Mack's Live, and I didn't know the answer, so I went and researched it. So that was that. Phil Greeley. Hello, Phil. Good to see you back. He was on this morning. I did a live with Harry Sopanos. Josephine Beefwoman. I think from your channel, actually. Howdy, beautiful people. Right, let's have a look.
It must be from my neck of the woods.
Yeah, I think so. Oh, I've missed
with the howdy.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah. Triple J24. Hi. Rob saying the UK is a living meme now. Oh, yes, here we go. Question. Here's a question. Could you comment on Ryzodeg 70/30 and its possible side effects? Do you know that? That's an insulin. That
sounds familiar, but I don't know why. And the thing is, I'm not doing I'm doing medical devices now. So some of the drugs I'm up on a lot of, like I try to keep up on. I get FDA alerts on stuff. Is this I don't know if this is a new drug or something I just don't recognize.
It's one of those combination long acting, short acting. Fast acting insulins, and I said because
insulin. Okay, yeah, that's why I don't know it.
Yeah, and the fast acts with as soon as you say fast acting, well, what's the side effect? Hyperglycemia, basically. Yeah. That's one, and because it's insulin, weight gain, obviously, swelling, peripheral edema, as it's called. So just the normal things there.
That actually, in my experience, doesn't sound as bad as some of the other ones. I worked on all the scary stuff, like because I was in clinical trials. Like everything horrified the crap out of me that I worked with. So the older stuff that's been around for a while that doesn't cause as much trouble, but
I think just to say, if you're on a prescribed medication, and this is broadly speaking for everybody listening, if you're new to this and you go onto this way of eating, you're probably going to need to look at the dosage and talk to your physician, your prescribing professional, because you're probably going to need less medication. in most cases. So,
Yeah. I have I told that to a friend of mine who went on carnivore that I work with, and they were on a particular blood pressure medication, and she was feeling great, and then she was feeling bad, and she went to the doctor, and she kept describing how things were going, and she had to come off of it, because if you're on something and your condition changes, you need to get off of it sometimes, or they have to assess you like continually. It doesn't just everything doesn't just stay the same, like when you're making changes like that.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I agree. When you talk about side effects, that they're pretty lame, aren't they?
well, it's like, no, all side effects, like take all side effects seriously, but it's like compared to some of the horror shows that I've had to witness, it's like, ooh, anal seepage and whatnot. Like we were laughing about that, like in one of the other streams. I can't remember. Dave was getting a kick out of it, I think. But yeah, that's stuff like that. There's even more. It can get bad,
Yeah, it's I think medications for me, I'm finding, to be absolutely honest with you, people talking about now microdosing GLP-1s and trying to navigate that, and I just feel that it's still not root cause, which is fixing your relationship with food. And I'm not a medication fan. I'm not a fan.
No, oh, I'm definitely not. It's hijacking your systems. Like you're hijacking normal systems. Usually, it's never ever cures of any kind.
No,
it's just mitigation.
Yeah, but it's interesting that you've been, doing the job that you do and your background, because it's helpful for me, actually, because it's like, that phrase, what is it? Poacher turned gamekeeper. I think
yeah.
You're the one that knows, because you've been behind the scenes, and now you're in front of the scenes, I suppose, and you can be you've been there, you've done it, and all that stuff.
And I still do the pharmacy. I do contract pharmaceutical projects for people, but it's very specific type of things. So but I have to be very picky about what I choose. I don't do the things that anything new, you can forget it. I'm not going to touch it.
Triple J24 or JJJ24. I was watching the live with Dave Mack from yesterday, and surprise, you guys are live. Well, we've been doing this a bit, although we were talking before we started. I'm trying to shift everything into the week, so Monday to Friday, because I've noticed I am still working 7 days a week. So maybe we'll be moving the Saturday to Thursday, so it won't be it won't be Saturday supplement. So the alliteration's gone.
That's right. My word. That's right. It doesn't flow.
What about thriving Thursday?
There you go. That works. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And of course, you'll be from work. So will that mean that you'll be a bit more tired, less buzzy?
Oh no, I don't get tired. I was telling Dave yesterday. It was kind of funny. I was like, I'm worried. I get to feeling some kind of way about getting older sometimes. Get a little down. And he's like, I was talking to somebody at work, and they're like, well, why? You wake up, your hip hurts? And I'm like, no, after carnivore, it'll hurt. And they're like, well, are you just tired? You have less energy. I'm like, no, I have plenty of energy. In fact, like I have to force myself to go to bed. And they're like, well, is it because, and they were trying to think of a reason. I said, no, it's because of old rock stars. Definitely because of old rock stars. In my feed, I've been seeing all my rock bands from my youth that are touring. It's like from the 80s, and they're touring, and they are 80, and it's horrifying, and it's like instant makes me feel like I'm 150, and I'm like, oh my God, will you please stop? Like, go home, stop. And they all suck, and it's horrible. And I said, this is really bothering me, and I want it to stop coming up in my feed. But again, it's like a train wreck. I can't stop watching. It's like you see this grisly accident, and you're just like, but I got to keep looking, so I don't know. But
yeah, no, I get that, because
have you seen some of this? Have you seen some of this going on? Like, I don't know who your favorite bands were growing up, but it's really a travesty.
Yeah, well, I would say Schwarzenegger, for instance, he's been on recently talking about his body deteriorating, and and saying, if you've never been healthy, that's the first thing. you're not going to be as disappointed as I am, because my body was what it was, and now it isn't all that.
Yeah.
So it's still healthier than most people's, but it is. He's not a great example, because obviously he used performance enhancing drugs and all that sort of stuff. But bands, I've been stuck in the 80s because of my deafness. I went very deaf in my 20s. It got very bad. So my musical taste sort of just stopped around that time.
Well, it's bad. Like, they are horrible, and it's I can't even put into words how awful it is. There's no talent left, and and a lot of them are like really fat. Like, they can barely move, can't sing at all anymore, and it's just depressing. It's so depressing. So that's what I mean. But when aging, it's like you get older, and it's like you'll all of a sudden realize, oh my God, because you have this picture of what they look like, and then they're going on tour or whatever.
Who are you thinking of them?
Okay, well, in particular, David Lee Roth from Van Halen. That's I don't know what that is. He's always been a weird person. I did meet him years ago, and he's always been strange. But he and they'll appreciate this. And I said this on Dave's channel too. Some guy, it was just ridiculous. His performance was ridiculous. He couldn't sing the songs, yet they're going on tour. He's touring or doing whatever. And I don't know at the moment, but he was wearing these tight leather pants. Does not have the physique for this anymore. I mean, because and he had one of the commenters said, "Hey Dave, will you get that chapstick out of your front pocket?" It was so embarrassing, and then Vince Neil from Motley Crue is another example of this. But I told him, I said, at least I had saw a flyer that said Led Zeppelin was the three remaining members of Led Zeppelin was going to do a tour, and I was heartbroken, and I was so upset, and then I found out it was AI. It's a lie. So thank God, because that would have killed me. But
yeah, I know what you mean, actually, because Billy Idol, I think I was watching him do a sort of an acoustic version of Eyes Without a Face, and I think he has aged, but he's sort of aged gracefully, and I think also because he hasn't got fat. That makes a big difference. But his guitarist, who is excellent, has like a beer belly sort of shape, but very skinny legs, and he wears a very tight trousers and like a shirt that hangs, and you just think, oh man.
Yeah, I saw that. And he didn't he I don't think he did very well. I don't think he did very well singing, if I remember correctly.
Oh yeah, I mean, yes.
Did he do okay or not?
Yeah, he did great.
He did okay. Yeah, I can't remember him. I remember seeing him though and thinking he didn't look as bad as a lot of the other ones do. But
yes. Do you know what this is relating to? Phil Greeley saying she was planning to throw him to the sharks. Was that something you said earlier?
I don't know.
I don't think so. No, we'll come back to that. Right. Okay. We've got a question. What do you think about other kinds of meat like kangaroo or zebra? I found a source where I can buy it, and I thought about it as a replacement of game meat. Chat GBT, I'm assuming, said zebra is not the healthiest.
I don't know anything about zebra. What about you? Well, specifically to zebra. Now, I think when it comes to meat, hey, I'm all hands on deck, man. If you're SpongeBob and you want to, swim out and milk a jellyfish, go do it, because, carnivore is carnivore. So I'm not very exclusive when it comes to carnivore. Now, I usually do end up eating beef most of the time, but I do not know anything. I know about billy goat, turtle. What else have I eaten that's really weird? I think that's most of the weird stuff I've eaten, but outside of that, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, they're both very lean by the nature of the beast. They are very lean animals. I think kangaroo has a lot of zinc. I'm not sure. I don't really know. But
I don't like deer. I don't like deer meat because it's too lean. So I'm not gonna like a meat that's lean typically.
Yeah. But let's be honest, it beats ultra-processed meat,
Yep,
supermarket meat and all that, and standard American diet. It beats everything. Yeah. And I am stealing from Isabella Cooper, the phrase for the standard UK diet, which is
Mm.
sucked.
That's
It's
pretty good. I
sucked.
like
Yeah.
that. I like that.
Yeah.
You know, I'll confess something though that is not popular in the carnivore circles is that I don't like grass-fed beef.
Right. Okay.
Every grass-fed beef I get does not taste good. And so I'm getting the crappy grass or not, you know, the stuff at the supermarket. The prime cuts, I don't know what they're doing really to these cows, but whatever they're doing, it makes it taste really good. So, you know, and a lot of people, oh, you got to eat grass-fed beef. And I'm like, hey, what I'm eating healed me, you know, did really good.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm not going to fuss too much.
Phil was saying, we're talking about that female captain. Yeah. Yes. Throwing people to the sharks.
Okay.
Yes. Great,
Yeah.
Phil. That's excellent. Sorry. Bit slow on the uptake this morning. And yes, so absolutely, Liz. So many people cave because the word discriminate has been taken over and used as a club.
Mm-hmm.
To discriminate is to choose, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the thing is, I just want, you know, if I'm on a plane, I want the best pilot.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Then you're discriminating.
Yeah.
You want the best. You're just, that is the definition of like you're being, you know, you want the best. So
yeah, I don't want the worst. I mean, who would pick the worst? You know, if someone came along and said, well, before we take off, we can pick this person in envelope A or this person in envelope B. This one's the best pilot. This one's the worst. Who are you going to pick?
Yep, absolutely.
And only an idiot would say, well, I need to know their background. I need to know, you know,
what they look like.
Yeah. Nobody. Well, nobody should, because it's a ridiculous way of choosing. So Josephine, beef woman. That does sound like a sort of superhero cartoon. I am Josephine, beef woman. Anyway, I kept missing the lives today. Glad to catch one before bed. Yes, well, I'm glad you did too. PJ Eubank, Stephen, I just read your Substack about MTHFR. I gather being carnivore is best and liver as well for this genetic mutation. Would you recommend a supplement along with a carnivore diet? No, don't really need to do that unless there is an effect. If you're seeing fatigue or if you're seeing problems with brain fog or looking at your skin tone and color, that could be a thing. But if you're getting along and it's all hunky-dory, well, I won't worry about supplementing. Remember that feedback from your body is the thing that tells you you are deficient in some way in your diet or how your diet's being absorbed, and a supplement is a remedy, a temporary remedy while you work out what's happening with your diet. So yeah, thanks for reading that. And we've got Hayne Falls. Good morning from Albany. Very good. I wonder if you could cover this one, Liz. When should you start worrying about purines when eating organ meats?
I don't hear a lot of people really worrying about that. I've heard, you know, folklore, and I mean, I probably believed a lot of that before I actually did carnivore. And they're like, you're going to get the gout if you eat this, that, and the other thing or whatever. And I've really not seen that many people have a problem with that. And I don't know the prevalence of it. Like when you're eating a lot of organ meat though, I mean, eating like if you eat liver is very packed with a lot of stuff, and you don't want to be eating tons of liver all the time, obviously. And if you look at the actual animal, you know, and how big the liver is, and then the rest of the animal, like if you were killing it and eating it, you're not going to, you know, the liver's not half the size of the body, so it's not like the muscle meat. So I think that there's a reason for that, you know, that, and you know, it's got a lot of really, like if you eat a polar, I had heard if you eat, like if you even eat any hardly polar bear liver, that it would kill you because it's so potent with, I believe, is it vitamin A? Is that what does it?
Yes.
But I think that a lot of this, the stuff about the purines, you know, I don't know levels and things like that, but I have heard a lot of people worry about just eating carnivore and purines and all that kind of stuff, or different meats. But, you know, again, like I don't know how much organ meat people typically eat, like when they do this diet. Do you have any thought? What kind of thoughts do you have on that?
Well, yeah. I mean, the purines. What the main concern is, which I think is unfounded, by the way, is that it converts to uric acid. Now, when you're in a private blood testing laboratory for 10 years, you see a lot of results, and there's no correlation between high uric acid. So I always use this example. I saw plenty of people with high uric acid and no gout, and I saw plenty of people with low uric acid and gout.
Yep.
So,
so it's
real
kind
work,
of a myth. I mean, whatever is going on, or whatever association was probably faulty. I think a lot of times, like, you know how, like, if you don't control all of the things you're doing, I think that you have a lot of people that were very sick historically, and they had a lot of things wrong with them. And then they'd eat something, or you'd have a certain type of diet, and then they would just blame whatever they were eating. But then you had all these different, it's not necessarily associated with that. It's what maybe I suspect happened, because I heard that my whole life. Eating, well, it was red meat. Eating red meat causes gout. Just in general, red meat, not even specifically organ meats. So
the biggest factor association is fructose, actually, and gout. And that mainly is from fruit and alcohol. And you will see, again, I did that with practical experience. When people did have gout, I didn't really care about the uric acid. I just said, are you eating a lot of fruit, or are you drinking a lot of alcohol? And if so, just take that out, and within 6 weeks, the pain will go.
Oh, that's
and
interesting.
I doubt it will come back. And I had one particular guy who didn't like me very much, for me, because he was a vegetarian, always vegan, but he trusted me for my rehab knowledge. So he took the fruit out, which was very interesting. 6 weeks later, lo and behold, spoke to him, and he was like, it's great, I don't need a cane anymore. And then the next time I saw him, just because he was a local guy, this is when I did rehab, he's got the cane, and I just said to him, what's going on? Why have you got the cane? He said, I missed my fruit. So I'm going back to the fruit. So he was a sort of experiment, really, for me, because when he took the fruit out, it went, and when he put the fruit back in, and he definitely didn't drink alcohol, he came back with vengeance, to be honest.
Wow. So, that's really interesting.
But I can't believe people are so wedded to fruit that they're prepared to be walking with a cane. But there you go.
Yeah.
They're so convinced it's healthy.
Well, people, and what we've been, that's like that gout kind of myth, like, and the whole uric acid crap and everything. And, and the purine idea, it's like, it's gospel. People will not turn from a lot of stuff. And that's what floors me about the scientific community when it comes to, in particular, nutrition, because the stuff people believe, and it's like, okay, and I have a story for you, kind of, it's like a quick one, but my sister, she was diagnosed with kidney disease like years ago. Okay. Yeah. And I'm like, well, how did they die? And I'm like, what's wrong with you? She goes, nothing. Like, and I said, there's nothing, like, what symptoms do you, well, but he said, and I said, well, how did he determine this? Like, what happened or whatever? And it was, oh no, he did some blood tests. She never would tell me what. Well, the other day she goes back to him, and he's all proud of her. She goes, he was so proud of me. And I said, why the hell was he proud of you? And she goes, well, because I'm doing so good, and there's it's all gone. And I'm like, did you ever find out what he did to diagnose you in the first place? And she's like, no, but he said it's all good. And I said, what did he treat you with? And he didn't treat her with it. He didn't give her anything. There was no treatment. And so now, but you're healed. And it's like, I said, so now she thinks he's Jesus. And I'm like, oh my God, you are a professional woman. Like, can you not, like, think for a minute? Now, one thing she has been doing is she did start, I think, eating more of a keto type of thing. But I'm like, magically, what did he do to heal you? It was just the craziest story, though. Because we do talk a lot about, when it comes to blood testing, where you get diagnosed with something just based on a random blood test or whatever. And this was like the perfect example of that. And I don't know exactly what they did, but just magically,
It's
went
crazy. And
away.
when
Yeah.
you start talking about kidney, I thought you might be talking about the fact that one of the reasons uric acid can go up is because
Hmm.
of the kidney has a failure to clear uric acid. So it
Hmm.
isn't even a uric acid problem. It's
Hmm.
indicating that there's a kidney problem.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah. I don't even know how she was, but like the way that we're diagnosed with different conditions and stuff is like wrong a lot of times. And, but the fact that she still believed everything, there was nothing, but she didn't have any, she barely had any kind of, I think it was just basically the GFR.
mm, oh,
That's how she was, diagnosed with that. And then there's never looking into it or figuring out, just like, the whole uric acid thing, like the purine thing, and what you
mm,
actually witnessed. You had circumstances put together, and you were kind of testing the theory to prove that it really has nothing to do with that. And there's not a lot of that going on in the medical community. You know what I mean?
mm.
There's not a lot of critical thinking. Let's put it that
No,
way.
no, it's
You know,
not.
but there's magical, things going on, but no critical thinking.
Okay. You might understand this. I don't. I'm 61, but sometimes I feel like I'm 161. Captain Beefheard always made me chuckle. Neon meaty dream of an octofish. Does that make any sense to you?
I do not have any idea who Captain Beefheard
All right, cool.
is.
I feel better now because I thought I was a bit out of it. Anyway, right. Phil is saying, can you speak to any potential issues with silicon dioxide, stearic acid, and hypromellose cellulose in an amino acid or other supplement capsule? Do you have any thoughts on those? I have a bit,
There's
but not
a
much.
lot of those materials are approved excipients, so they're in just about
Yes.
everything. When it comes to the impact of those, when you're looking at one of the things, like when you're actually evaluating drugs, like they pay very little attention to the standard excipient list that's been around for like a billion years or whatever. So especially hypermelosis, like it's in everything. Stearic acid's in
Mm.
almost everything. It's very widespread. I think a lot of these need to be looked at more carefully because they're not, and you're just looking at the API, which is the like active pharmaceutical ingredient. I think
Mm.
that again, it goes back to that critical thinking and exhaustive investigation as to what these things do, what do they do in combination, all that kind of stuff. I don't think they have a lot of information on that, to be honest. I
Oh.
do know certain ingredients for certain people they wouldn't be able to take certain things, like certain things bother certain people. That's always been a thing, but as far as widespread established like studies on what the impact are, not so much.
Well,
When it comes,
silicon dioxide is an anti-caking agent, isn't it? And it's
I
inert,
believe
isn't it?
so. I
Yeah.
believe so. Yeah, some of this stuff is what I don't like is that you're mixing things, because when you have a formulation, you have a pharmaceutical formulation, and to assume that what you're adding is not going to change anything is an assumption that you really shouldn't make in a lot of cases, because one formulation and one amount, just replacing things and changing it out. I mean, you would not believe some of the things I've seen. Like, just they would assume we'd go, in development, like they would change an inert ingredient or something that it was supposed to not actually have any impact. And you would be
Mm-hmm.
very surprised. You don't know what is going to happen. And they would assume a lot of the times they do know what is going to happen. And you would have the formulation fail because of something that, like that. Like when you're looking at these inert excipients, I think they
Mm-hmm.
need to be looked at harder. And also, where are you getting these things from? Because part of what I do is I have to audit other manufacturers. Like if for companies that are going to make a drug, I have to go and look at where they're sourcing their materials from. And let me just tell you that all of these things are not necessarily equal, and they're not made to the same standards. You can have all kinds of like in some things, well, not these things, but like organic volatile impurities can differ, and all this kind of stuff. You can have a lot of impurities involved, so it's that's where a lot of the danger lies. It's different manufacturers, because they'll cut corners, they'll make things inappropriately, and different manufacturers, they're all not the same, even though a lot of these things have the same CAS number, which identifies them as being, this purity and this, whatever it is, right? Like methanol, has a number, and like methanol's methanol, but there are differences between who's making all this stuff. So it gets kind of scary, because it's even hard to trace where the heck things come from because of like repackaging, chemical repackagers. It's hard to even know where some stuff comes from,
Yeah, so, so basically, keeping your powder dry, silicon dioxide, they're like, to filled, they're like tiny little sponges, basically. They're just going to soak up and keep things flowing. If you look at your salt shaker, I've got the posh Celtic sea salt thing, so that's a little bit damp, so it will clump. And many people that come around, if they come around to eat with us, will go, "Oh, this salt is terrible." Well, yeah, I could put an anti-caking agent in there, but I don't want to do that. But I understand with the, when you're making a supplement, you want the dosage of each thing to be exactly right. So it has to flow freely, I think.
Because you have content uniformity studies that you have to do to verify that, your API is distributed equally throughout all of your dosage form or whatever. And you have different things in liquids. You have different ingredients when you're making, especially tableting. Tableting is difficult. When you make we used to tell anybody that would come to us and want us to make a tablet, I'm like, no, you would like a capsule. It's like, don't you want a capsule? Capsules are much easier to do than tableting, because you have to, they'll fall apart, if you don't have the right ingredients and you don't have the right pressure and you don't have the right equipment. So all of this stuff, it serves a purpose, but I think that what bothers me about a lot of these, inactives is that there's not as much control over how they're manufactured and the purity and where they're coming from and that kind of thing. So I'm a little, think that can be sus at times.
Yeah. And then you got the stearic acid, which you find in butter,
it's in everything. It's in everything. And I forgot even stearic acid. I'm thinking most of what like is in pharmaceutical products is the hypermellulose. You have a lot of, I'm trying to think. There's a bunch of others that I have off the top of my head that I can't recall, because there's so many. Yeah.
So you have one thing soaking up the moisture. Stearic acid is slippery, basically. So it's all about flow dynamics, isn't it? Of the ingredients to make stop them. Yeah.
To make it binders, to make it like, you have different and like I said, when it comes to tablets, and I'm trying to think of there was a couple of really creepy inactives that I saw recently, but I can't bring them up off the top of my head, but but it's all for that purpose, essentially.
Yeah. I would not be particularly worried about those three things if I was taking.
No, they've been around forever. Around forever. Yeah. I'm anti-medicine though, so I'm like, I'm coming from a different place. I'm actually looking at where these things are coming from, and I'm always worried about them. So don't ask me, because I'm going to have a hyperbolic response.
Well, I'm food is the best way to heal yourself and make sure that you eat enough. Under eating is the thing, but if people are taking supplements for whatever reason, and valid reasons, I find it very difficult to accept all the additions. And even the packaging, it all comes in plastic. I am the Stem Enhance, that's a plastic tub. I'd rather it didn't come in a plastic tub.
Well, it's like that's like authorized generic. So the difference between a generic drug and an authorized generic, there's a lot of trickery when it comes to stuff, because an authorized generic is meaning that a company who holds a patent, like, is making a drug, and then they just change the label. And then that's a generic. That's not the same as a generic, right? So, which is different, but it's like you wouldn't know that though. You know what I mean? And what's the difference? Nothing. absolutely nothing outside of the label, and then they're selling it for a different price. So, and supplements in general, like that's another thing where a lot of people think that they're not worried about supplements. They're not worried about supplement quality. They're not worried about, where they get the supplements from or how much they take. And you can hurt yourself taking supplements. You have to be careful with supplements, just like you have to be careful with other pharmaceuticals,
Yeah.
because, those can be taken incorrectly and, in excess, and you can harm yourself. So,
Yeah. I like this actually from Mediterranean D. Outside the box is not always correct. And that is absolutely bang on. And that's the thing. Outside the box thinking is also used to disprove or prove something, so if you take something that you're thinking about and you believe it's a mechanism, and then you think outside the box, you can back up how you're thinking, or you can destroy how you're thinking. That's the point of it, isn't it? Is to take it out of, if you're doing a trial of something, you think, well, that's all well and good. We seem to have an association, but we're now going to do something completely different. We're going to look in a different way. So maybe you did a lock in the lab. Now we're going to see if that's backed up in real population data, or we're going to, most trials, sadly, are still with men. But so Dr. Isabella Cooper recently did a trial deliberately only using women. Well, that's outside the box thinking. But it was really good because it did prove many things about these studies that only use men. But you can't, you can't extrapolate to women. Simple as that. So it's great. Just quickly, I want to thank someone for becoming a member. So that's I don't know whether we should be saying JJJ24 or Triple J24, but anyway, new member. Thank you very much. That's much appreciated. You've got some personal feedback here from PJ Eubank. Liz, since I've been carnivore, I've realised I can have control of my health and my nervous system and my mood. I'm actually angry at how easy this all is. Thank you for all you do.
Oh, thank you. You talk about mad. 17 years on a narcotic. The first, after 3 days, or a week or whatever it was, and I didn't need it anymore. I was pretty mad about all of it, and to this day I describe, what happened after I went carnivore, and all the medicines I don't take anymore because I don't need them. I stopped needing them because of, how I felt. And I still have people that just, I'm like, well, wouldn't you be curious if someone did that? If you heard that story, even if me 10 years ago, if someone told me that story, I would look into it, or I would be curious. But it's like status quo just has people, I don't know. It's like there's not going to be any fallout from all the medications that everybody's taking. And polypharmacy or whatever they call it, where you're taking all the drugs together. Where you're taking all the drugs together, and the, what do they call it? The fact that psychiatrists call something California rocket fuel is just beyond me. That's a thing.
Yeah, I know. It's really
it's crazy.
Yeah, I had one of my people that I consulted with was a very high-ranking pharmaceutical distributor in Florida, and part of their data collection was looking at nursing homes, and he said it's heartbreaking, Stephen. You wouldn't be able to do my job because the average is 11. So the average was 11 medications per occupant, and it's just heartbreaking. And I would say, maybe by the fourth medication, the fifth one, or the fourth one even, maybe, is actually dealing with a side effect of the first one. And I think it's what you talked about, satellite drugs, and boy.
Yeah.
Yes. So I get angry too, PJ Eubank. I get very angry about it. We all do, I think. If we're interested in, helping people's health get better in this space, you are going to get cross. Right, let's have a look at this. So we have a liver to filter all these chemicals in pills. If the liver enzymes are good and the imaging is good, you don't need to worry.
We both are making sounds.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, You could, if you've got something that filters something for you, let's say we've got a big tank and it filters the water for you. And you have a certain level of maintenance. So you get a maintenance guy in every 2 months. Okay. And that's how it's always been. And that's always been like that, you know. And suddenly you decide you're going to add some other things that need filtration. Well, yeah, it could filter all the things out. But what if your maintenance guy now has to come once every month or once every 2 weeks? And then you put some more stuff in that needs a lot more work. You are stressing that system. You know, this is the big bugbear. And I'll give you a real practical, absolute example. Okay, so many people, many influencers say, well, just take iodine. It doesn't matter, because if it's too much, you'll excrete it out. All right, so what they're saying is, I'm quite happy for you to overload your kidneys and your liver, because it's going to be excreted out anyway. And you can do what's called an iodine clearance test. And when people do that, many of those people taking iodine, obviously they come off before they do the test, are not deficient in iodine. So you've wasted money and you've wasted your human energy resources. You've actually created an excess of something that has to be excreted. So when you're talking about medications, yes, I think I can agree that, yes, we have phase 2 detoxification and all that sort of stuff. I understand that. Absolutely. But you are definitely putting yourself in a little bit more of a critical situation, because there are tipping points for all these things. There's thresholds. So you could look at, well, we've got, again, I'll give you a practical example. Right, we've got an ability to put glucose in the urine if we need to, if there's too much glucose in the blood. And that's called the renal threshold. I tell you what, once you get over 180 milligrams per deciliter blood glucose, you are putting glucose into your urine. And that's, yeah, it's doing that. It can do that, but it's not a good thing. You know, that's the thing. That's what I would say. So because we can do it doesn't mean it's a good thing.
Yeah, and I look at it like this, like when for everything you have manufacturer's recommendation usage, okay? And that means that if you have an item, you have to use it as intended. Its intended use. If you try to use said item, medical device or whatever, in a way it is not meant to be used, you will damage it, right? Same thing goes for, like, if you're using any kind of drug. You know, if you try to use it in a way or a dosage that is not intended for what that particular thing is used for, it will harm. It can do harm. Same thing, I look at humans in the same way. We're not supposed to put everything imaginable in our pie hole and eat it, because our body is not made. That is not the manufacturer's intended use. You are supposed to put food in your mouth. Not all of these things that we've created. We have manufactured all these things because we made things that are not natural, that are not of nature, that don't exist, did not exist, and we're eating them. So, duh, you know. That's the way I look at it, is like our manufacturer did not intend us to be, you know, it's like this is not appropriate. Like eating the things that are not, like seed oils and things that people invented. Like we're not supposed to be eating things like that.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely. So, oh yeah, we've done that one for PJ. Sorry, I think I missed this one. Sorry, Sue, I missed this one. I had to reduce my fat intake after 21 months carnivore due to gastric problems. How can I be sure I won't run into other problems? What should I look out for? So if you're reducing fat, the primary one is energy crashes, because if you've been eating a lot of fat, you probably would, in the main, feel more energy. So if you reduce fat, doesn't mean you're not going to have energy, by the way. Don't make that a self-fulfilling prophecy. But that's, you asked what to look out for. So if you reduce the fat and you feel like you're a little bit fatigued, then one thing you could do is, instead of reducing the fat, reduce the increase the frequency of the meals, but less volume per meal. By the way, that's a different way of looking at it. Thinking outside the box there, that might not sort it. But yeah, that would be the main one.
Yeah, I think it's relative because a lot of people will see that sentence and they'll kind of get a knee jerk reaction like, no, 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 you can't go low fat carnivore. Which, I mean, you have to understand that people have different tolerance for a certain amount of fat. Like I can eat so much fat like I want to throw up. I mean, if you eat too much, like it's going to make you sick. So a lot of times, like if you're not feeling good, you're going to have to adjust different things. So I've had to do that before at times. At times I'll eat more fatty meat than I do at other times or whatever. It's like whatever the body's kind of craving, I think. But I think that if you just listen to your body, you won't run into too many problems with stuff like that.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, don't forget you need fat, so these fat
Yeah.
soluble vitamins and things like that. But yeah, if you're having problems with too much fat, you won't have problems because the words too much imply exactly what the problem is. So if you reduce it, you're actually going to an appropriate level. So you should find most things actually improve rather than, So
it's different. And it's different for everybody. Like a lot of fat for one person, you know what I mean? It's just, but you got to definitely, I don't ever go without it though. I've never like got cut most of like eating lean, anything like that has never worked, but I've had differing amounts of fat depending on what I don't know, my body needs or is craving at the time.
Triple J24, I really appreciate you answering all these questions. Thank you very much. PJ Eubank has just put wow, but I don't know what that wow relates to. But thank you for a wow. We like that. Dr. Duba, Coach Stephen, one of my favorite humans on the internet. Who says I'm human? I'm an android. I'm like Data.
I don't know. Sometimes though, your knowledge is pretty impressive there, buddy. Because I'm wondering if you're like a AI or something. Maybe you're not real. I've never met you in person.
All right, yeah, but when if I don't know, I think on Dave Max yesterday I said I don't know. But you see, this is what I like about doing these is I didn't know. I think she's in the live right now. I think it's Sue. Anyway, or Bev, one of the two. And she asked a question about the eyes. And I said, well, I don't know, but I'll research it. So.
Oh, yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah. And I answered her this morning, last night. Anyway, because the thing is, that's how you learn, isn't it? And I think bluffing is the worst thing you can do rather than.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you fire me off as well because you know a lot about like the fillers and stuff like that. Well, I think without you talking, I wouldn't be able to go, oh yeah, well it does that, doesn't it? Oh yeah, it does that. And I think that's the other thing. There's a lot of prompting going on.
And you have a lot of really just accessible knowledge though about what you're doing. And I know, that's focus. With me, it's like I've done so many different lifetimes of things. It's like a lot of the stuff I did years ago. I don't know if, as far as memory goes, I remember a lot more than I would think. But like being out of pharma, like I'm going, oh yeah, like it comes back. But
Yes.
you are pretty much a walking encyclopedia when it comes to metabolic health. It's impressive. So, giving you kudos there.
Thank you. Yeah. I don't feel like that, but yeah.
You do. You do. I think everybody agrees. Everybody say, yep. Everybody gives a thumbs up in the chat.
All right. Thank you. Yeah. But you see, it's really weird because when you're doing, I mean, don't forget, so I've done a live every day. So you're constantly saying it as well.
That's
It's a
true.
bit like if you're a professor of astrophysics and you're teaching that lesson, 5 times a week and saying it out loud, then you'll be able, your level of recall will be really good.
That's true.
And I think the deafness works as well because I always look at tactics to remember stuff. So, there was, this is really weird. Someone said, how did you remember that gene in carnitine?
Oh,
Well, carnitine, there's a defect in the gene. Now, the only reason I remember it is because the first part of it is SLC. Well, my pirate radio DJ name when I was a teenager was Stephen, that's my name, Lloyd, my dad's name, and C is, actually I remembered it in my head. My first wife was Claire, so SLC, and 225A, I just can remember that.
Yeah.
But, sorry, 22A5, I mean, sorry. So, it's just really strange. But anyway, but
Well,
other
and plus it brings up things like you hadn't thought about. Like I was a formulator. I used to work in formulations as a chemist. Like I worked in R&D. I worked in quality assurance. I worked in quality control. I worked in all the labs, right, when I was in pharma. And then before that, I worked in, I was in clinical labs where I'm working in toxicology, microbiology, immunohematology. It's like, it's a lot of crap that I've known and worked with, right? But then you move to a different place. But what's great about it is that we were just talking about stearic acid, and I know all the inactives. Like there's a huge list of inactive ingredients, but I'm like, oh yeah, wait a minute, was that for flow? Was that binding? Was that, and like there's so many different things. So I'll probably look it up later because I'm like, oh, let me remember that. Even though I worked with it on a daily basis and you're playing around with all this stuff. It's like, it's been years. It's probably 20 years since I was in formulations, you know what I mean? And then there's a lot of things that change. So, time goes by and there's a lot of innovations. And so you'll hop back on and you'll like, okay, what's going on now? What are they using now? And then you'll find out stuff that you didn't know. So that's why I love a lot of these live streams, you know what I mean?
Yeah. But I think also, it is actually simpler than people make up, which I think is possibly why people like the Substack, because I'll sort of say, if something's anti-caking, well, what's it likely to be? Well, it's likely to take the moisture out, isn't it? So, So using the analogy where they're like tiny sponges for the silicon dioxide is like, that's an obvious thing to say. And then also we know fat is slippery, so we'll say stearic acid is going to be slippery, so that's going to make the flow more. So you've got two things: one, it won't cake, and the other, it will flow. So I think also just common sense.
Yeah, and particle size, even the particle size analysis that we would do when we'd formulate drugs, because if your excipients are not a particular particle size, they're not going to bind correctly. They're not going to work with the other things, and it's just going to be a failed experiment, especially with tablets or whatever. So it's like, you have different particle size specifications that you have to do, and then you have to grind it and mill it. So it's kind of like, I don't know, in a lot of ways, baking a cake. Like if you're talking analogies, you know what I mean? It's like everything's not going to, your cake's going to fall. Your tablets aren't going to come out right if you don't grind it and, blend it. There's blends and all this kind of stuff. So, but a lot of it's like cooking, So
I'm definitely I definitely think like a deaf person, because I'm very visual, because immediately I'm thinking, right, to use an analogy there, it's like if you've got a ton of tennis balls and loads of ping pong balls and you're trying to sort of make a 50-50 blend, the difference in size is your first issue.
Yep. Yeah. And that was the actual pain. I remember we were trying to formulate some kind of drug. I can't remember what it was, but we were trying to figure out what particle size we needed a certain ingredient at. And it was like it was nearly impossible to get it right. And then when we did, we found out, but it can be, kind of nerve-wracking figuring all that stuff out. But it is important. And it is, you're right, it's common sense type of practices. It's not difficult.
Yeah, but just in a very clinical, highly academic setting, surrounded by Latin and German words.
Oh, and the words are always, 37 consonants in a row and stuff. That's why everybody... Sometimes when I talk to people, like I use so many acronyms with the government, it's like because everything's like they love their acronyms, and it doesn't matter what branch of the government, it's a bunch of acronyms or whatever, and people will just look at me like, what are you talking about? I'm like, oh yeah, but the words are hard. I mean, they're huge. It's like drug names. I forgot when you look at where those come from and where their name and stuff, it's like you did that on purpose, I'm sorry, but you did that on purpose. They're doing that on purpose, making those names so hard to pronounce, the actual, chemical names.
Oh, absolutely. Right. Well, that's our hour. I think that's really good. Yeah. So I'll speak to you in the week about whether we'll do another Saturday or whether we do one in the week. I mean, so many people are enjoying this. And it's a good time for you, it seems like.
It works for me. I'm up at 5 all the time now that I'm on carnivore. So 5 a.m. no matter what. A lot of people sleep in. They're like, you don't sleep in till, you don't sleep in late on the weekends. I'm like, oh God, no.
Oh, here's one. Here's the last question. If you want to touch on this, is the Bluetooth AirPods or headphones Is the Bluetooth AirPods or headphones are so harmful for you as people claim?
Wireless, who knows? I often wonder what all of the wireless things will do to us in the future. I don't have any idea, but
Yeah, I have hearing aids which are working right now via Bluetooth. But I can tell you, as soon as I can turn Bluetooth off, I turn Bluetooth off, because my gut feeling is it probably isn't good for me. But I'll tell you something really scary, Liz. You know, we would, and Triple J, I'm going to call you that, that I find quite scary. Now, last week or the week before, people might have noticed that I was having trouble with the MacBook connecting to my hearing aids. Okay. And I dug deep into this because I wanted to know what was going on. And even when my phone was off in a different room, it was still able to communicate with my hearing aids.
Yeah, I've heard things like that. Not about hearing aids, but about other things. That is scary, you know.
So I found settings that I have to go into. So before I came onto this, I have to get to my phone and really dig into 3 or 4 different settings, audio routing. You know, now I know it. It's actually quite easy and intuitive, but it's not really intuitive when you first start. So I had to turn off 4 settings deep within the settings, if you see what I mean. So it's not just settings; it's a subset, sub menu. And I've got my phone here, and I've stopped it trying to listen in and grab the audio signal. But without turning those settings off, which most people wouldn't do, your dormant phone that you've got in another room is doing things.
Wow. Yeah. Again, and my hunch about that, I have not done deep dives to, I think at one point I was looking into 5G or something. I don't know, but I don't remember what I found out at the time, but it was a long time ago. But now it's like, I haven't done a lot into that, but it goes back to the reason I think it's probably gonna end up not being so good is, again, manufacturer's intended use. So, you know, modern convenience, I think, will in a lot of ways be part of our downfall.
It will,
because if you think about that, it's not natural. It's not something that our bodies were intended to to deal with. So who knows? You don't know, but I have bad feelings about it. So, and I'm a technophile, big time. Like all things, I own a lot of things, VR headsets and whatnot, but so
okay, right. Well, YouTubers, thank you so much. We might be here next week, or it might be a Thursday, 10 p.m. in the UK or something like that. I don't know yet, but Liz and I will speak in the week, and we'll sort you out. But thanks for tuning in today. It's been a pleasure having you. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you, everyone.